Okay, good morning, everyone. How are you? How is everything? Right now, we will get people in, okay, and then we'll share with you the winter packet, which hopefully you did. If you did not do, please do before January 17th, okay? Okay, good morning. How are you, Yusuf? How is everything? Good job. You have the camera on and everyone is set. Okay, great. Okay. Good job. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ziad. Good morning, Omar. Good job, Omar. You have the camera on. Everyone put on the camera. Excellent. Ziad, good to meet you. Good morning, Nozad. I want you to put the camera on, okay, so that we can start. Let me make sure everyone is in, and then we can start right away. Okay, I'll admit everyone. I want you to, while I'm admitting, just to kind of review in your mind what we talked about last time in political science. That's very important. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so let us start. Okay. So right now I'm going to put the winter packet. Okay. Can you see it? Okay, yes. Okay, great. Okay, so last time we talked about the map. Good morning, Nozad. How are you? How is everything going? Great, excellent job. Okay. So right now we will go into the topics after the map. Last time, if you remember, we talked about the map, how you get the capital city, you look at the key, you look at the different cities, you understand the map with analyzing the map where the cities are, if they're on the coast, if they're inside. What do these symbols mean in the key? Okay, and then we talked about ancient times, Aristotle and Plato. Okay, now today we're going to talk about more about the founders. Last time we talked about Machiavelli, and we said what's famous for him is the Prince. Karl Marx and John Locke. John Locke, we talked about him also last time. Today we're going to talk about Karl Marx. Okay, so what do you remember for Karl Marx? What did he talk about? What kind of government? What kind of government did he talk about? You know, what was the... Yes. He talked about...
He talked about proletariat, that the working class should rule.
Okay, excellent job. So the working class should rule the proletariat. Excellent job, Nozad. Okay, now Ziad, why the proletariat should rule? What was going on in Europe? Do you remember? Ziad. Okay, what was going on in Europe? Do you remember? Why was there a problem with the working class in the time of Karl Marx?
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay, if you remember, he was part of the Communist Party. He did what was the book called that he co-authored with Hegel, his partner in the Communist Party and in the problems of the working class. Okay, what is the book called? Who can remember? Yusuf Shaheen, everyone else? Mazen, Maram, Omar Rida. What was the book called? Let's write it down.
البوك بتاع مين يا مس؟
The book for Karl Marx. He wrote a very famous book, okay, about the conflict in society between the classes, right? About the working class, about the proletariat, about his theory. What is it called?
Manifesto ولا كان اسمه؟
Good job, Manifesto, Communist Manifesto. Right? Who is this? Who's talking?
أيوه هو أنا يوسف.
Yusuf, excellent job, Yusuf. It's called the Communist Manifesto, right? Excellent. Let me write it down.
Well,
Communist Manifesto. Good job. So this you need to know. Okay. So Communist Manifesto is a very important book that he wrote. Okay. And he co-authored it with his partner in research, and he's the one who funded him, and he was an assistant in all his research about class conflict, working class, doing a kind of new theory for government and society and economy. It's Hegel, right? So the Communist Manifesto is what he's famous for. Okay, and can anyone tell me what did Karl Marx say? Who will rule in the end after all the class struggles, if you remember? So he talked about class struggle here, okay? Class struggle, the proletariat. Okay, who will rule in the end, eventually? Who will rule? The working class, right? Okay, the working class will rule eventually. Okay, that's the main point. Eventually, okay? Now, basically, the main concept of Karl Marx's theory is that the working class rules, okay? That's the main concept from Karl Marx's theory in the Communist Manifesto. So the working class is the class that rules in society, in the world, in the government, okay? So in any government system that goes by Karl Marx's idea, you would have the working class that rules, okay? So this is what's important. Okay. Okay, any questions? I wanted to read the article in the winter packet and write the bullet points, the main points from the article. It's very nice. It gives you information about all the different founders of political science, Machiavelli, Karl Marx, and John Locke. Okay, so please do. It's a very nice article. I just want to stress one thing the article talked about before we move on. Let's take this out. Okay. Let me just make sure everyone is in. Who wants to go? Who is here? Yes. Okay, great. Okay. Ahmad Tariq, hi. So whoever I saw in the morning, that's great. I hope you had a great day in your other classes. The rest, hi. And I hope you're all here and everyone else. Okay. Let's just go to something really important here. Okay. Okay, anyways, if we have time, we'll go back. We talked about here Machiavelli, John Locke, and Karl Marx. Okay, the different types of government. In this activity, I want you to choose a movie. By the way, who did this activity and watched a movie? Tell me. And then did the paragraph. It's a very fun activity. These 3 movies are really nice. Wag the Dog, The Candidate, A Few Good Men. They're old, and I think some of them you can find them on YouTube. Others, no, you have to get them on Netflix, or you can get them from the video shop. They're old, so they're not, you can find them anywhere, actually. A Few Good Men is a classic. Okay, so, if you can tell me, can anyone volunteer who did? I think it would be nice and fun for the class. Okay. Nozad, Yusuf, anyone else? Okay, I hope everyone puts on the camera because I can't see except Nozad and Yusuf. Everyone else, I want you on the camera, okay? Or you don't have attendance for today. Okay, so please go on the camera. Okay. So I hope you watch the movie and do the activity. It's very fun. Okay, so I watched A Few Good Men. I watched 2 others, but A Few Good Men I like the most. A Few Good Men is a very nice movie, and it shows the judicial system or the judge system in the army of the United States. It's very nice. It's part of the democratic government in the US, okay? And also they have different kinds of systems in the democratic government that has to do with the United States government, and also at the same time with the army, with the judicial system in the army, you know, judge and the jury and how they get the evidence and everything else. And who are the lawyers? You find the lawyers were in the army, and then they went into the field of law in the army. So obviously the army has its own lawyers, has its own jury and judge. So that's a very nice movie to see how the democratic system in the US has judges, has lawyers. They also have their own kind of world of government, okay? So it's very, very nice. And you'll find that how the judge, although in the end, you find, you know, there are some individuals, I don't want to ruin the movie for you, didn't watch it, but there's some individuals that are really strong in the army, but even though they're strong, you know, the court system kind of balances out. So they have in the end a decision that shows you in a democratic system, and a system where it's clear cut. In the judge system, it really depends on the lawyers and their case and the jury, and obviously how you present the case and how you get the evidence, okay, which is very important. This is part of government, by the way. This is giving you a taste of how government type affects the system in the country, okay? So obviously, if you are maybe in a republic system, you would obviously have a citizenship factor. Okay, like for example, in Egypt, it's like that. In other places in the world where it's a republic, which is a lot of countries in the world actually, citizenship is an issue in the sense of if it's in the army or if it's in the government, obviously they're citizens given, like in A Few Good Men. US also has citizenship, but from country to country it differs. And usually in most countries in the US and everywhere else in Egypt, if you are, for example, from the country, it's different than if you have like a visa, obviously, or immigration, or if you have a residency, it would be different, even in such situations as courts and governments, because most countries, if not all, they have citizenship, okay? Like also they have democratic values, which are like, for example, if you're in the country, you have certain rights, although maybe you're not from the country, okay? So you have this balance. Like we said, no country has pure like democracy, or pure communism. Okay, can you see me? It's cutting, the connection is not that strong, so it's kind of going off and on. Okay, so it's great. So, you know, I gave you some examples. Can you give me an example of how in countries it's not like pure communism or democracy? It's a mix. In anything you can think about, the army, the president, the government, a movie you saw, anything you think about. Ahmed Tariq, why don't you tell us an example of how countries are not like any kind of pure form, they're mixed. How is it?
بالنسبة معلش أصلا أنا ما سمعتش اللي حضرتك قلتي اللي فات كله عشان النت كان عندي معلق حبتين.
Okay, it's okay. So my question is, how in a country do we have mixed forms of different types of governments that we took, like communism or democracy or republicanism or dictatorship or, for example, monarchy? Can you give me an example? So it's not a pure form, they're different, they're a mix of all of them together, or they take some from this, some from that. Can you give me an example, or do you want me to come back to you? Yes. Okay, so I'll come back.
ممكن كده ممكن مثل اسألي أي حد تاني لا يعني أفهم بس الحوار عشان مش فاهم حضرتك بتقولي.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so why don't I ask, I'll come back to you. Okay, good job, Ahmed. Why don't I ask Maram? Maram, can you tell me how in an example? Maram, Ahmed Mu'taz, Mazen. Mazen, I didn't hear from you today. Where are you? So, Maram, Ahmed, Mazen. Yes. Can you hear me? Besides the ones that participated. So we want to hear from all of you, okay? Okay. So Maram, what about Maram? Are you here?
Yes.
Yes. So give me an example. Can you think of an example? Any example you can think of.
There's nothing on my mind right now.
Okay. I want you guys to think about an example. I'll come back to you before the end of the session. Okay. It's important for you guys to differentiate between the actual political theory that we're studying, especially this semester. We're going to talk about foreign policy, the United Nations, national relations. So it's important for you as a background information to know these political theories, okay, and to know these different types of governments, right? So communism, democracy, republicanism are different political theories that theoretically they constitute a kind of system of government, okay? And then you have different characteristics that we took like oligarchy, democracy, oligarchy, dictatorship, monarchy, right? Theocracy. So basically they're kind of different forms of government and theories, okay? And so as we talked about last semester and you took an exam, this is a very important concept that you need to know is that every country has a mixture, right? Okay, so it has a kind of mixture of all these different types. Okay, some may not have any of them, some may have some characteristics, some may not have at all, right? So you can think it, you know, I'm not gonna say right or wrong, just in your perspective, okay? So I want to think about it and in this session I'll ask you. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next topic here, yes. So we have the map below of the different governments of the world. As I said, keep in mind the mixture here, okay? You have in the key the different colors, and each color composes a kind of government, okay? You'll find that they're not pure any of the lists that we took, but mix of them. So you have under is military junta, which is oligarchy we talked about, right? So it's a kind, the group of people from the military here, okay? They rule the country. We said oligarchy is any group of people that rules the country. So it doesn't have to be military. It can be economic, a business,
Miss,
you know, yes.
you lagged for a second.
Yes.
ايه؟
Okay, can you see the you see the file, right?
مس حصل عندك لاج يا مس وما سمعناش اي حاجه من اللي حضرتك قلتيها المره اللي حضرتك
Yes.
Okay,
قلتيها.
thank you so much. Thank you. Can you hear me right now? Can you hear me or no? Yes? Can you see me? Let me just see if you can see me. Yes. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah? Or is it kind of like not clear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Excellent. Okay. So I want you to look at the map. You have the map in front of you. It has different kind of mixtures of governments, okay, which exist today in the world. Every country represents a certain kind of category which represents a certain mixture. So you have military junta. Okay, military junta is a kind of oligarchy, which is a group of people that rule, okay? And this group of people that rule are from the military only. So military junta is only from the military. You'll find that you have, for example, in the middle here in Africa, okay? I think this is Zimbabwe, right? And then you have above it Egypt, okay, military junta. And then you have also, where else do you have? If you can find another one, tell me, okay? Now, as I told you, military junta was very famous in South America, okay, in the past. So you have a lot of movies, you have a lot of books, and if you go into political science, you go into research of the past, you'll find a lot of governments that was military junta in South America. Okay, now it's different. Now what is it? What is all of actually South America except two? What is it? Can someone tell me? So look at the color of the continent and tell me what is the most type that South America has in government? Can anyone volunteer? Let me see. So look at the country and look at the color of the continent and look at the color what it means. Mazen, can you tell me? Dia, I didn't hear from you today. Actually, no, maybe you did. I did hear in the morning, but Ahmad Mu'taz, Yusuf Shaheen,
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Dia,
Yes, yes.
Dia or Ahmad? Okay, both. Great. So can you tell me what is it? What does the color represent? What type of government?
What does the aim
Which
miss?
color?
In South America. Can you see South America? It's right here.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Do you know your
it's a
geography here?
presidential
Yes.
republic.
Do you know your geography? It's important, right?
Yes.
Excellent. So South America is here, right? So let me just
Yes.
color it and highlight it. Yes. So where? Okay. So it's right. Okay. Okay, we can't. Let me do here. Okay. So let me highlight it so you can see it. Okay. And then you tell me the color of the continent is certain color, most of it, and one second, let me just get out the marker so I can highlight it for you. Yes, in South America. Aha, Dia, excellent job, Dia. Good job. There is South America. So Dia, can you tell the class, what type of government is there mostly?
Presidential republic.
Excellent job, Dia. You get extra credit points today for your excellent job and participation. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So it's presidential republic. What about the light blue? What does light blue represent? It's not really different, right? But it's kind of different in actual terms, okay? So what about Ahmad Mu'taz? Can you tell us?
Miss, I don't understand. صراحة
In South America, where Dia circled it, right? You have most of the governments, Dia told us, is presidential republic. Okay, so that's, and we know it because of the dark color blue. We go to the key, dark color blue, presidential republic, right? What about the light blue? What does the light blue represent?
The what? The light group
Light
or
blue
what?
color, yes, light blue color in South America. What does it represent? Can you look at the key?
Parliamentary republic. Parliamentary.
No, it's not light blue. Okay, light blue is more like this one, right?
Semi-presidential republic.
Excellent job, Dia. Semi-presidential republic. Okay, do you see the difference here, Ahmad and everyone else? So I know it's kind of confusing because it's the same level of blue, but here it's like it's semi-presidential republic, okay? Excellent. If you have such a thing, you just have to differentiate between the blues, okay? So here, obviously, it's light blue. Do you see? It's parliamentary republic, it's Libya. But here, semi-presidential republic. Now, when we go into foreign policy and international relations, as you can see, sometimes a country, their type of government doesn't represent if it's secure or not secure, if there's a war or if there's no war, or any characteristic. It's just the government, okay? So it is theoretically the government that they work on. However, the actual process, what's going on, if it's strong, if it's weak, if it's in the middle, if whatever characteristics, that's different, right? So it differs from country to country. Okay, keep that in mind also. Okay, so do you have any questions? Anyone have any questions? Okay, I want someone else to volunteer for Canada. Okay, I want you to see where Canada is, circle it for me, and tell me what type of government does it have. Okay, who wants to volunteer? Get extra credit. Okay. Excellent job, Dia. Dia gets it. And what type of government is it?
Parliamentary constitutional monarchy.
Monarchy. Excellent. Excellent job. That is great. You got the extra credit. Good job. And who remembers what kind of monarchy is it part of? It's actually part of the United Kingdom. Okay, so United Kingdom is in England. Okay, It's the monarchy that rules Canada and the United Kingdom and also Australia, okay? So this is really important to know that it's actually part of the United Kingdom, but it's Canada. It's an independent part of the monarchy. It has its own parliament, constitutional parliamentary system. Yes, that it's for Canada, okay? For its culture, for its history, for its heritage, and it's different than the United Kingdom and Australia. So you find the United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada, they're all part of one monarchy. However, it is a constitutional monarchy, parliamentary constitutional monarchy, which means it has a democracy. It has a system where the parliament rules, and the queen and the monarchy have their own, decision-making power. They have their own kind of kingdom. However, they have a limit to it. Okay, so they do have a final say in many aspects, but a limit to it. The most power is to the ministers and the parliament who are elected. Yes, so that's the democratic part of the monarchy. Okay. The parliamentary constitutional monarchy, obviously, there's no direct election, right? The elections come from the ministers for the head of parliament, okay? Everyone votes for the ministers, okay? And then the ministers vote for the head of parliament. Okay, so as you can see, it's a mixture between monarchy, democracy, parliamentary system, and republic. So you have citizens there, right? Citizenship. So you have to have the citizenship to be part of Canada, to be part of the United Kingdom, to be part of Australia, obviously under the monarchy. But as I said, it's a very complicated system. It's not like, black and white or straightforward. Monarchy, there's no full control here or dictatorship. It's very complicated between parliament, democracy, and monarchy. Okay. Okay, any questions? Okay.
No, thank you.
Excellent job. Okay. Let me go back to Ahmed Tariq. Okay, Ahmed Tariq, can you give me an example of how a country can have a mix of different types of governments? So you have these examples here right in front of you, right? You have the different countries, okay? So give me an example of one. Look at one, give me an example. What about the red here? The red here is China. We talked about China before. Can you help us out in China? Look at the red here. What is it?
maybe a miss because it's يعني اللي هو مقسومة نصين أو
single
مثلا
party.
محتل مكان it was
Excellent.
محتل احتلوها قبل كده فاللي هو it has this place has the own tradition and this place has its own way.
Good job. Okay, so you're saying that it may have been invaded or may have had other issues, but here we're not talking about the wars or anything else. We'll talk about that in foreign policy. Here we're talking about the system right now. So how is the system right now according to this map? According to what we took before, different mixtures. So how is it? There's a single party, okay, and there's a republic, right? Single party dictatorship, republic, which means that a single party fully rules, right? At the same time, it has citizenship because citizenship has to do with public system, okay? You see? So that's the mixture here. Now, what happened in the past, what right now is happening in the future, we don't know, okay? But what we know right now is the government, okay? Do you see? So we don't need to, we don't need to know what went on in the past or in the present. What we have is the map in front of us, and we have the key, and we have the different colors, okay? And so the color represents the kind of mixture of government here. Do you see how important the map is for reference? So you can use the map to answer the question, and also to get to know each country right now, how it is. Now, the history, what it is right now, in actual terms in the future, we don't know. The details, like we see in a movie or in everyday life, we don't know, right? But the map shows us the main characteristics of government. Okay? Okay. Any questions? So as you can see, it's very important for us to know that every country has its own combination in the government. Okay? And right now, and it changes. Okay, some don't change, some changes, some But here we don't think about what's happening, past, present, future. We just want to study the actual government. How is it? Okay? So it's kind of theoretical, obviously. Okay. So let's go down to so we have okay, we have here the last part as okay, so this is the
Yeah,
okay. Great. So who came here right now, please open up the camera. Okay. I'm just gonna take the attendance because it's important. Where is it? Yes, okay. And let me just take it. Until I do, I want you to try to remember foreign policy. Okay, what does foreign policy mean? Okay. So foreign policy, what does it mean? As a reminder for people who have the camera on, you're attended for who are, they don't have the camera on, it's counted as absent, except if it's excused, okay? So, yes, okay, great. Okay, yes. Okay. So please make sure to open up your camera if you came, and next time, come early, okay? So come on time because it's considered late, right? So, let's start with the new topic. I'm going to open the video, okay, for foreign policy. I want you to watch it. Let's open it here. Okay. Okay, foreign policy. Who can define for me foreign policy? We kind of took a little bit about it last semester, but we didn't have it on the exam because we didn't talk much about it, okay? So we're gonna talk more about it this semester. Let's just take the thing out here. Where's it? Where's here? Yes, so, okay. So who can describe for me foreign policy? Excellent, Omar Ihab, you have the camera on. I want to see you. Okay, so who can, excellent job, Nozad. Okay, try to have your camera and audio open. So you had it open, which is great. Try to put it open again, okay? So it's how the country works, the goals set for the country. Good job. This is one example, right? So any goals, okay? So any goals for the country it has international level and local level, in environment, economics, business, to how to interact with the world around it and how the world interacts with it, okay? In the sense of other countries, other organizations, anything in the world that's around the government. External from the government is foreign policy, okay? Even inside of it, if it's, for example, related to outside, okay? So this is basically excellent definition, Nuzad. And right now, what we're going to see the video, we're gonna watch this video, okay, very nice. I want you to look at the definition, the different characteristics of foreign policy and how it goes by, okay? Also think about and look and see how, what kind of foreign policies are there? Examples, the environment, war, conflict, peace, okay? So let's look at it.
خلاصة الألوفيرا دلوقتي في كولكشن هيربال اسنسز الجديد.
When the Constitution was written, most other countries were still ruled by kings.
مس هو مفيش فيديو ظاهر عندي.
Okay, let me share it. Can you see it? Can you see the video or no?
No, I cannot see it.
Okay, great. Yes, thank you. Okay. Can you, let's see, can you see it right now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. If you don't, tell me. Thank you. Okay. Let's go back to the beginning. Okay, and let's start.
Hello, I'm Craig, and this is Crash Course Government and Politics. And congratulations, you have made it to the final Crash Course Government and Politics video. Woo! Today we're going to look at the mystifying paradox of both the least and most important aspect of government, foreign policy. Foreign policy is the most important because it has potential to affect the largest number of people, especially if you include environmental policy, which we should. Also, foreign policy includes a lot of elements of economic policy, so that's important. But it's also the least important. First, because it tends to have a minimal impact on how Americans think about their government, unless the U.S. is at war, and even then, not always so much. And second, because it's the least democratic government policy, which might be a good thing. Foreign policy is a collection of policies that determine America's relations with other nations and foreign entities. It includes diplomacy, military and security policy, international human rights policies, economic policies such as trade and international energy policy, and environmental policy.
Okay, let's go back to this part. I think this part is very important. So foreign policy, as we said, is basically any government that has a sector in its government that has to do with everything that has to do outside of its government with other countries. So, for example, in Egypt, the government of Egypt has a foreign policy, right, office, and this office deals with everything that has to do outside of Egypt, of the Egyptian government, okay? Outside primarily of Egypt, right? In international world, in the world around it, okay? So diplomacy is number one, right? What is diplomacy? Can someone give me an example of diplomacy? It's part of the definition of foreign policy, right?
It's coming from the word diplomatic.
Diplomatic, what does that mean? If, for example, you want to go into diplomatic career, you know, you want to, you are, for example, Egyptian, you want to go into diplomatic career. What does that mean? What will you do? Yes, Omar Ihab, Yusuf Shaheen, everyone else? What will you do? Nozad, Mazen, Ziyad, Malak al-Shafi. What about the people that came in the end? Can you tell us? It means it is basically the relationships, okay, between the governments, right? Do you know that in the world today, different governments in the world, they have a certain kind of way that you have to deal with each other. Okay, there are certain laws, certain etiquette, certain kind of formalities that exist between them. Okay. So because there are these certain kinds of laws, formalities, and ways to interact with different governments, you have to study, right? If you want to go in the field as a major in college, you have to go and do the emphasis, you have to kind of train yourself so that if you go into diplomacy, you know that world, okay? It's a different world. Yes, which has its own bases, it has its own formalities, laws, regulations. It has its own kind of etiquette that you have to deal with, and it's very, very important. Okay, not only that, you know that sometimes wars can happen, or even opposite, really good relationships can happen because of good diplomacy. Okay, in the sense of you have excellent kind of people in the foreign policy, you know, office or foreign policy sector of the government that are very good in relationships with other governments, and they deal with conflict or with problems that they face with other governments or with the world, really, okay, with other organizations. There are also kind of etiquette to other organizations like the United Nations that we'll study this semester. So this is really important, okay? It's really important to know that diplomacy is a kind of relationship between government to government and government to other organizations or other kind of entities in the world, if it was business, economic, environment, in under a etiquette, a kind of formal relationship between the government and the other entity, okay, if it was government or anything else. So it's actually the formal entity. Okay, so that's diplomacy. Yes, and for example, if there's a war, for example, between